On point. On point.
Nice, Abi.
Again, let's do it again.
On point. On point. On point.
On point.
God damn it. On point.
On point.
Yeah, man. On point.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, on point.
On point.
On point.
On point.
Lovely.
Wait, real quick, that's the intro I wanted to do.
On
Alright, never mind. Yeah, on point.
point.
So do it again because you're missing.
On point.
On point.
Lovely. So today we are here with two beautiful girls, obviously.
Girls or women?
Women.
Thank you.
Lovely females. Don't worry about it. So we have on the right Vanessa. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Vanessa.
Lovely. On the left hand side we have.
Hi, I'm Patricia. Do I need to say something?
Hi Vanessa, hi Patricia.
Hi, friends. I don't know. Congratulations to say something. For the first time.
So today we want to have a conversation obviously with you, Patricia, because you are the founder of Schwarze Mamas Reden.
Thank you
So
for
which
the
is
invitation.
welcome, which is a very important topic. That's why we invited more women this time around, so that we can have a conversation about like childbirth and what is happening in basically when it comes to black women and childbirth. And we want to have this conversation because we as young men that are also going to become fathers eventually in the future, we need to know what do we have to understand in terms of childbirth preparation, and how can we also support you women as well, most especially our women, our sisters. So please, why did you invent or found a group like Schwarze Mamas Reden?
Wow. I didn't have the intention of doing it because I don't have time. I was in Clubhouse. And there were all these American black mom groups, and I couldn't connect because they live in a different society. So I was like, it would be so nice to speak to other moms like in my surrounding and just have an honest conversation, because we have a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And there is actually already like Schwarze Frauen community, and also like a safer space for black moms in Vienna, which is a WhatsApp group. And I just asked, hey girls, who wants to like have just chats on Clubhouse? I just set a date, I don't know, I think Tuesday 9 p.m. And a couple of girls said, yes, let's do that. And after we had the first session, everyone was like, wow, this was like therapy, like even for me. Everyone was like, we need to do this, again. And I was like, okay, so let's do this every Tuesday 9 p.m. whoever wants to join. And I actually started to choose topics and formulate questions and everything, so that we actually have something to talk about. And with time, the problem on Clubhouse is like, you can't really connect, you know? Yeah. So at the beginning it was me, Chia, Servus Mami, Mireille, Nana Core, who's Real on Instagram. And it was especially her who was like, Patricia, we need to create like what's Instagram or Facebook or something. And I was like, I already have like 1 million things on my plate. Do I really need to do this? And I like actually pushed it for weeks. I pushed it, and then she kept like insisting, and I was like, okay, whatever, let's do this. And at the beginning I think I called it Black Motherhood something. But then I was like, no, I want a German name because I want to represent German-speaking black mothers. Amen. That they do exist, because people think like when you're a black person you only speak English, and that's not the case. And there was already like, there is one big group on Facebook which is African Moms in Deutschland or something like that, and like it's 99.9% English. And it's like mostly the women who come from Africa and are living in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and it's very often also like about paper issues and all that stuff. So that's also something that I cannot really connect to. And I was like, okay, let's create something for us, for us, those who have been living here for a while or have been born here, and that's how it started. And currently I'm not really posting, or we are not really posting because we are rebranding, because I actually need to get a proper logo and everything, and then we will be back online again. That's the story. But really, I did not have the intention, because even when I asked the others in the group, there was even one person, we already have Schwarze Frau community, and I'm like, I know, but I just want to have like
something different.
Just some casual chats on Clubhouse and talk about it. And then and then we started connecting with Black Dads Germany. I have a lot of conversations with Andrew, who's one of the founders, and they also have amazing. You have to join them. You have to follow and join them, because they have like really amazing things for Black Dads. I think this is also they have the Black Dads listening every Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Also on Clubhouse?
Yeah, also on Clubhouse, and it's like every dad is telling their story. And so, and like with other Tebalou, which is like ein Bücherverlag, which is specialized on kid books with because we have the issues like books don't have black characters, and like they really source those books and only sell those books.
That's
amazing. And with Nanako, who's also a teacher, and she's also special. She has a huge library, I think I don't know, she has a couple of thousands, don't quote me how many thousands, I don't know, she has a couple of thousands books. And she has like the connection, because she grew up in America, and she knows like one author. She wrote the book Africa is Not a Country. And we had like workshops with her, and we also talk about BTS, which is visual thinking strategies, or we had the workshop on cross-racial friendship books. There are things like that, and I think it's important to talk and to raise awareness, because what I also noticed is like we have this new generation of mothers and parents, but many of us don't see how important it is from a young age to really install our history, our roots, our language, our traditions into our kids.
And our values.
That's the thing we always constantly talk about.
Because my parents kind of did that, but not really, not the way I wish I would have. Because, for example, my mother tongue, I have a very strong accent, obviously because I learned it when I was a teenager. The history of Congo or Angola, like I have to learn it now. I'm learning it now for my kids so I can teach it to them. Even just like the books we have at home, like I don't buy those typical books you get from the store. Like with all the books we have at home are like really books from authors with black characters. And even my mom the other day, when she opened the book and read it for myself, she was like,
everything is black, no? No, it's different.
She was like, das ist aber keine Schule in Österreich. So, ja, Mama, es ist keine Schule in Österreich, aber like I have to empower my child from a young age, because when he's in kindergarten, when he is in school, he's not going to see those books.
That's
so
very true.
Yeah.
No, I think I like what you are speaking about, because like we always constantly talk about like the crisis of not knowing who you are, and it comes from a very strong background. The more your parents know of who you are, I think for us it's also very important because we grew up here, so we know the cultural differences.
Yeah.
So in order for us to have like kids that will not have like any type of crisis, so we need to instill certain values in them.
Yeah.
So
I guess all of us had that identity crisis sometime in life.
Some more than others.
Some, yeah.
You had it too, though.
Really? When?
I know.
When?
No, did you have to be honest?
I can't recall.
No, I think you have to be like it's not that deep. It
is deep. It is that deep.
No, I mean it's not something like bad or that you should.
No, that you have the
be
crisis.
ashamed
I never
of.
really had a crisis, but
When I say crisis, because crisis is a very strong word, but it's trying to explain.
Or you were lost, or you didn't really know where you belong to.
But
I think that feeling never goes away anyways.
No,
Yeah,
it does.
that's true.
Does it?
No, it
No,
does.
but-
Personally, I feel like it does.
It does, because
I
I
feel
feel like when I compare the childhood with, like my childhood with those of others who were born in various African countries,
Yeah.
they don't see the racism as much as I do, or I don't want to downplay it. Racism is racism. However, I feel like when I complain about certain things, they're just like, okay, whatever. Like,
they don't
it
understand.
Whatever.
They're like,
just move on.
They're
and for me, I'm just like, no, hold up. I don't want to move on from this because I've been dealing with this ever since I was a small child, and I was made aware of the fact that I'm different, and because I'm different, I'm to be treated otherwise, you know? And we've had these conversations often, Maiwa, for example, where you told me that, well, you know, you were born in Nigeria, I was born here, so...
African, Bro, I also didn't know. You didn't know? Of course I didn't know. But someone told me actually 2 weeks ago.
I told you guys like...
No, someone told me 2 weeks ago. But why would you react, bro? That's how like...
So all this trauma I was telling you, they don't understand what I was mentioning.
Exactly, you see? And then I share some traumas and you're just like, well, okay. And I feel like people that were born, as I said, in various African countries, also the way that they carry themselves, you know, there's just so much more poise and so much more, you know, they just know where they belong. Whereas for me, I'm just like, okay, well, I know that, okay, I'm half I'm Ugandan, at the same time I'm Austrian. I mean, that's what my papers are saying at least. And then, however, when I'm in Uganda, it's like, okay, well, I don't really quite fit in, and I'm a foreigner because first of all, people can tell by the way I talk, by the way I walk, by the way I just, you know, I do certain, and yeah, of course. But I mean, my parents like did a really good job raising us. They still talk to me in Uganda, and I've learned the culture, so I know what is to be expected. However, people still, you know, snicker and make fun of you because they just feel like, well, but you're not black enough. And then when I'm in here, it's like, well, I'm not white, so yeah, I'm too black. But then at the same time, there are categories because then there's this like, okay, you're bougie black, then you're like, you're a bit like, yeah, and that's the next thing that actually we're gonna would like to talk about, because why is it that bouginess or whatever however you want to call it is something negative? I'm proud of who I am, for example, and I have my standards. Why should I lower my standards just because you see it fit and you just feel like, okay, black people aren't supposed to know what they want?
I always say it's because they want to be there or they want to have that lifestyle, but they cannot have it or they cannot afford it or whatever. And that's the only way they have to deal with it, because what else can they do than just lower you and make you feel, you know, less than you are? Because I don't see another.
That's the job of the hater. The hater's job is to hate.
Of course,
Consistently
but the thing
hates.
is, it doesn't just come from non-POCs. It also comes from POCs, and that's exactly where the issue is. Because we're trying to elevate and we're trying to support each other, but then how exactly is that supposed to work if you're constantly, you know, dealing with both sides?
It's very simple. It's like they used to call it like the crabs in a bucket. Basically means that crabs in a bucket means that like crabs are constantly just cutting each other, and because there's a little space for us black people to exist on a high scale, we need to cut each other off. The game is rigged. So like for me to get to the place where you are now, I need to make you feel less, because there's little space. Because like they always call like the token black guy. You know, you're in a company, there's always one black person. If you're not two, they'll be like, can't you? I'm like, say it. So if it's one person, then you know that you have like some sort of value, and that's why we have inherited and indoctrinated ourselves by thinking that there is not enough space. That's what we constantly think, and you don't want to give up to the white people. Like, I know him, I wouldn't be like, yeah, I can't. But actually, that's the thing. But actually, we need to work with each other together. But that's very difficult because we are still suffering from all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Actually, what I also learned while growing up is that I'm to choose who I want to move with, actually, and I have the choice. So when I was still younger, I let other people choose for me, or I let the society or my surrounding choose. So
What do you mean choose what?
with whom I'm moving with that.
Oh, okay. Who you around?
So
Okay.
actually I was around with, the white people in that sense. So later with maturity I understand that I could actually move with the black people. I just need to move to them, make their choice. And the other thing, like when you said with their parenting, they're teaching you the culture of your country. So by learning the culture, you can bond with others. If you don't understand the culture, it's very hard because you're living by the Austrian culture actually. Like if you grew up in Austria. Because for me at the beginning it was like, okay, I grew up in an African household. So if my mom tell me go and clean whatever, if I did not do it, I'm kneeling down already with my hands up.
you get punishment. Yeah.
So these are the things like if I go to other people and I see it, I understand. So I don't have anything to judge about it because I know okay, it comes from the same background. So that's why I also feel like okay, maybe that getting older, you understand the sense of okay, we're able to choose. Like nobody's to choose for us in this country, even though we're black. And me, I always promote that we're black. We should be proud of black culture.
I feel like from what she said, the response you gave when you said crabs in a bucket, which is a good example. But I feel like it depends what each and every one individual goal is. This thing that you mentioned, this has been. So I think 2 years ago I watched the whole season of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was shot in the 90s, and there was an episode where they were like, Carl, you're not black enough.
Exactly.
But I was come to find like it depends what your goal is. Their goal is to stick to certain roots, show people we are black, and we're black because we have our struggle. But there are other black people who grew somewhere else, and they have noticed that, this is good what these Caucasians or the Western, European have. I want this as well. So as you said, you've set a standard.
Exactly.
But some black people, it's not even that they want to reach there. Some people don't want to reach there. They feel like I lose my identity as a black. Exactly. So now the thing is, so that's why it depends on what the goal is. You get what I mean, right?
I completely understand that. However, I still believe that you shouldn't put somebody else down just because they want to be somewhere else.
Okay, let me bust a bubble. Unfortunately, that's been Africa. No, seriously speaking, I know that we are talking from the sense of the white people did this, white people did that. But from our culture, speaking from our culture, we are elitist. The people that are on a very royal scale, the people that are very affluent, always make you feel bad. That's what it is. So our culture is not necessary to be the nicest of people anyways. So we need to change our culture. We need to change our culture in the sense of somebody that is royal can talk to somebody that is a peasant. Because we don't do that. Otherwise people will tell you you're not of my age, who are you talking to? So I told you last time I was watching something and there was it's a Nigerian movie. It was a black boss. One of the employees came to the boss and asked him how was your weekend? And the boss said how dare you talk to me like that? Can you ask your white boss at work how was your weekend?
Of course.
You
see, that's culture. So we need to change our culture and we need to evolve our culture so that we can actually get to the point of support. But it takes a while.
So talking about support, you have 2 children. They're quite close to their age.
Yeah.
And now you're currently, you're teaching them your values and what it means to be black. Have you actually had to deal with your child coming to you, I don't know, crying or whatever, and saying that they have been insulted? And if so, how have you handled it?
Not yet. I mean, my oldest is 3, and personally, I have heard stories from friends, who have had those issues, and we had an episode on Clubhouse where we were talking how to deal with these situations. How should we prepare our kids? Should we wait? When should we start talking about racism? And most of us agreed we should talk about it before it happens. I think that's the best way to do it, because when you wait until it happens, I think it's going to be more traumatizing for the child. And I don't know how it was with you guys, but I know kids like back then when they had those racist issues in school, in the kindergarten, the reaction of the parents was not really supportive. It was like, yeah, like go and beat him or just ignore it or do whatever. But it was not really something like, okay, I understand you, you know, you don't have to be upset or something.
What was your solution?
Yeah, because I was gonna ask.
What was the solution? Because like I listened to that.
First of all, what I do now is I empower them. Like every morning we say, I'm black, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm intelligent. Like I put those, how you
So
call
you
them?
affirm them.
Affirmations, thank you. I put them in them so they already know. And with my son, I tell him like when something like that happens, it's not because of you, it's not because there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with the other person. So you should not look at yourself, you should look at the other person. That person is the issue and has the issue, not you. I think
I was still saying something. You know why? Because when you guys were having that clubhouse conversation, I was listening, but I was not speaking because obviously it's Schwarze Mamas, and I'm a man. I'm not even a dad at this current moment. So, and I was listening. For me, it was just interesting to see how women will handle certain situation, and that's why I said like the union of family is very important. You need a mom in the house, and you also need a dad.
Yes.
Because the way you will handle this situation is very compassionate.
Yeah.
Because the way my dad taught me is violence, and I appreciate that. I'm serious. But at the same time, but my dad also told me like, don't be the aggressor, but obviously defend yourself.
Yeah.
But if you have now both, because I'm definitely gonna teach my kids what I've been taught.
Yeah.
Use violence. Violence.
That's also the point we
violence
talk
is a
about
solution.
breaking cycles.
No, why that's a good cycle though. But violence is a solution, but you need to use violence at a certain point.
I think my dad always told me like defend yourself.
Defend
But it
yourself.
doesn't matter whom as we were younger.
Yeah.
we were at a hospital, and I grew up with him. I grew up with Prince. Did I tell you? And Prince,
Tell us a story, please.
we grew up together. So we were at a hospital. His brother, me, we were playing. So Prince slapped me. I ran into the hospital room. I think it was a pregnant woman, a family friend, and I was like, he slapped me, and I'm crying, and he was like, you know, raised his voice, like, go out there and slap him. What should I do? I can't touch him. His dad is right here. So I went, I slapped him.
But it changes the narrative. Because why am I saying this is because at the same time, it's not only about having sons or daughters. I would teach my daughter the same thing. Defend yourself. If a boy does something to you, defend yourself. Don't be necessarily the aggressor. But at the same time, you need sometimes the masculine energy. That's the aggression that we like to call it, quote unquote. But at the same time, you also need a feminine approach, because my approach will not always be the best.
Yeah.
My approach of aggression, I know how to handle also the repercussions. So that's why I said that you need both. You need the feminine touch at times so that you can understand like, okay, this is the best approach. And at times you just need your dad's approach, like, okay, let me slap this guy in the face.
So just learn, how would you handle that, for example, now? Someone, you know, is approaching, or your son or your daughter is confronted with that type of racism attack, or just...
And I'm like there.
No,
Okay.
you're not there, but you've been teaching them already, you know?
And then my daughter comes home and tells me like she had a fight or
your son.
No, she just tells you like what has happened. Like,
Yeah, so I want to
about
know...
what has happened. Okay, the problem.
Oh yeah, it depends what has happened.
Yeah.
Okay, but what have you teach them? Like, how do they go about this? You know,
It
because
depends on what like how did the situation go down.
very simple. Like now, you said they're the one that they have
Yeah.
a problem. It's not, and I said that's major.
Yeah.
Because at a specific time, like me personally, when I grew up, I don't know if it's the same for everyone. I didn't know what's racism.
Yeah.
Until I
Should you
reached-
know, yeah.
It was actually not grown, but a very late age, like 9-ish. 9
Is it
or
also
10.
the time when you realized that you were black, or?
No, but the thing is, I didn't think it's because I'm black. I just knew that, I'm different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just different. I always knew. I knew, okay, dark complexion, I'm black, but I was just like, I'm different. Before I really knew that, racism, like, because I feel like you can differentiate from both. But before I got there, it really took some time. Like even going out in parks and people, you know, they'll let their dog bark.
Yeah.
There's so many things. I always thought, it's just because I'm different. That's it. I didn't think, black,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, so like for example, someone says a racial slur
Okay.
to your kid, how do you want them to
I
respond?
mean, it also depends on the age, of course, yeah, because if you
True,
don't
because
talk
your
to
oldest
a-
is 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're 10, 11, 12, or let's say if they're in primary school, like I'm not really the type of mom, I don't want to sugarcoat things. Like I'm going to tell them, like, listen,
Blunt.
we live in a racist world,
Yeah.
and we're black, we're Africans, white people don't respect us. And unfortunately, we have to deal with this. I know it's gonna be hard. I know it's not gonna be easy, but still, I'm there for you. You know, you can come to me anytime. And yeah, if someone said a racial slur to my child, I would like maybe try to speak to the parents. Because I always say if kids are like that, it comes from home, it comes from their parents. Because one of my friends, her daughter is now 11 or 12 as the Klasse Gymnasium, and she was mobbed because one of her class members said, yeah, also auf Deutsch war das ja, sie ist schon so oft durchgefallen, weil sie schwarz ist und sie hat so große Brüste jetzt, weil sie schon uralt ist und Afrikaner sind dumm und was weiß ich was. And later we found out it came from the parents, you know, it came from the parents. And
Of course, racism is taught.
yeah, and I advise my friends, like, okay, apart from sitting down with the classmates and the teachers, you have to sit down with the parents.
Parents, yeah.
Because
Okay.
that's the important thing. But on the other hand, I'm also thinking I'm not here to educate all white parents, you know, because it's energy, it's time,
And you have said you have enough to do.
and they have enough to do. But in that case, if it really affects my child, I will try to speak to the parents if I can. If not, I will try to speak to the child, because I also wouldn't like if something serious like that happened and the parent would approach my child without me knowing or telling me. And if it happened like in school or kindergarten, of course I will involve the teachers, like 100%, like we have to sit down and talk.
I think a point I want to even add to it is that I think all of us, you have to teach our children that it's okay to come to the parents and report.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the issue all of us
That's
have
also
actually.
something like communication
Yeah.
is. That's why I said like we also want to do like a workshop on breaking cycles and those bad or negative habits that we have inherited from our parents. Because I always told myself, yeah, I would never do this as a parent. I would never do that as a parent. But once you're a parent, you know, it's just it happens.
It does.
It happens, and then you have to be honest to yourself and say, okay, I have to work on this. I have to work on this because this is traumatizing my child. It has traumatized myself. So I gotta change something. I gotta do something about it. And that's also something that we have to be very aware of. Like, if it takes therapy, go to therapy. If it takes to whatever, do it. But it's important because otherwise we will continue to pass it on, and it won't stop.
So what are the things that we have been passing on actually? That we need to stop.
The things that have been passed on to us.
Yeah, to us. Also, we have to take into consideration, like, we are the kids who grew up from African parents who are living in Europe, Austria. Yeah, so it's a bit different than from parenting like back home. So, and also like with the culture clashing and like everything in that. I would say one major key thing is definitely communication. And the second thing is, we should try to be less aggressive, like try different methods, not like...
You mean towards the kids though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Because
thought towards the
I mean, things like beating your child until he or she starts bleeding, like, is not necessary. It's not necessary.
Okay, but then do you believe in...
Why did we react? We're just like... we're like...
But you guys
I mean, if it has ever happened to you, just think back, like how you felt, how it made you feel, and did it help? Like,
but do you believe in punishing your kids to that extent of, you know, giving them a slap or, I don't know, harsher forms of punishment?
I love that. It's just harsher.
I can answer this one for myself. Sometimes I just feel I needed it.
Like something about you.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I just.
And you're traumatized by that?
No, not really. Actually, I
You
know.
liked it.
I know I'm I don't know if I'm traumatized or maybe it shifted my boundaries to a higher level, but there was a point like, not even a point, but if my parents talk to me like, don't do this again.
I think the result of our parents beating us of that is first of all because we didn't communicate properly.
Number one.
Who didn't communicate? The parents?
The parents.
Starting with the parents, definitely.
Yeah. Parents did not communicate, and that's why it ended up like this. So if we work on communication, we don't have to go that far, you know.
But I would also say like the difference with I think that.
And also our parents had different struggles. Like
exactly.
we are set, you know. We know how the country works. We know the language. Like we can defend ourselves. Yeah.
You mean now?
Yeah. Ich kann auch auf Wienerisch eine Route machen. Yeah. So when the stupid old white granny comes to me or something, you know. But our parents, like, they had a lot of other problems and issues in their heads. So maybe they didn't have the time or the energy, the patience to deal with all of that.
Not only that, I think that also most African parents, they themselves
and they didn't know better.
No, not only that, but they themselves were beaten.
Yeah, that's why I said they didn't know better.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, you learn something and you grew up with that, and it becomes your norm. Mm-hmm. So when you have kids, you will do the same thing.
Exactly.
No, she's right, but I thought she's going to say what you said, which is they themselves were dealing with racism.
Yeah.
Like,
I wanted to say that too.
Yeah, they
were.
Like, how do you teach your kid how to fight racism? They didn't have to. Like, that's a struggle they didn't have to do. Yeah, you know, like now, like other stuff that we went through with maybe fellow brothers, sisters, cousins arguing and stuff. They knew how to like talk to us. But it's that white and black, you know. Like for me, my dad didn't like teach me that stuff. I literally had to see how he stepped up to the plate, and a neighbor who was always treating us, I'm sorry to use this word, but shit, like as if we're nothing. I had to see how my dad stood up to the guy. He was holding his pit bull, and my dad didn't give a fuck. He was like, come, like, you understand? So that's when I noticed, this is how I deal with this thing. It's alright.
Actually, I don't want to talk at that bad in that sense, yeah.
My dad?
I respect your dad,
Okay.
I respect him to the fullest. But I think a bad thing we actually learned from them in that situation is that the moments where you need to be strong enough to be weak, actually, that's where we use aggression.
What do you mean strong enough to be weak?
Just to like now we are having a round, we are talking like now I'm strong enough to take people like, okay, I've been traumatized before. Yeah. But what I actually learned was like, I don't talk about it, keep it for myself. If it's time, I just...
So you just bottle it up.
Yeah, just do my thing actually.
And that's why I feel when she said, I don't know if that's why you're saying that, but beating kids, you're making them harbor so much anger. In my opinion, that's like
I would say like
definitely, because like especially you seeing someone losing their anger or their control, that doesn't teach you how control yourself.
But there's two sides to the puzzle.
Do you agree?
I kind of get what you say. Yeah, so I'm with you. Yeah.
But the thing is like, because you can be physically disciplined, doesn't necessarily have to be beaten. Let's say for instance, me and you have been
exactly.
Me and you have been to the army. They physically discipline you at the army.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between our parents when they physically discipline us, because you can see that there's a different approach that they can take, but they're not using frustration. So you don't get the educational value of them teaching you, because like Prince said, there's certain times where you're like, I really fucked up, I deserve that beating.
Yeah.
And there are so many times where you're just like, you are just frustrated because something happened at work, and now you're using the little thing that I did in order to vent. So that's not a physical discipline, that's not physical education, that's just frustration. And I've seen how parents deal with frustration. Obviously, as a parent, you can say it better. There are many times where you're frustrated.
Of course.
But then there are parents that will be like, I'm sorry that I yelled at you. I was frustrated in that moment, and I didn't know how to vocalize my emotions differently.
And saying sorry to your kids.
You feel like parents should say
Of course.
Definitely. I think if parents...
So just because I asked doesn't mean I don't agree. I'm just asking.
But it's got to do with accountability. Because in that form, you you also teach your child that, you know, it's okay to say sorry, you should say sorry.
Yeah.
And
Because you're asking your
move on.
child when he or she does something wrong to say sorry, but
Exactly.
you yourself, you're not saying sorry. And it's really true. Like, the best way to teach your child something is to be an example. You know, if you don't want your child to drink alcohol, don't drink alcohol in front of him. If you want your child to eat healthy, eat the healthy stuff with your child. Don't put, like, I don't know, pizza and I don't know what on your plate, and then you put the broccoli and carrots and all the other stuff on your child. That's not gonna work.
Yeah. Kids are very impressionable.
That's not gonna work, because they want to eat what mommy and daddy eat.
Funny that I say this, actually today I went shopping and I saw a lady in front of the shop and I said, what is his name again? Der Paul hat auch jetzt zum Rauchen angefangen. I just see her smoking her own, like, she's frustrated that the son is smoking and we come what do you expect?
What happened? That's
Not from me.
Yeah.
Tell me about your birthing experience, because I feel like as a black woman, or generally as a black couple, when you reach that age of wanting to expand your family, that, you know, there are certain hurdles, and I read up on a lot of things, especially also, you know, childbirth. And for example, in the USA, there still is this huge disparity where a lot of women are ignored. For example, Serena Williams was also ignored. I know that Beyonce had a terrible birthing experience. It was kind of difficult. So what was your experience?
specifically in Austria.
Exactly, because I don't want to talk about the US.
In my first pregnancy, I was, let's say, a bit ignorant about that fact, you know, and I took things very easy, and I was like, yeah, even like things like breastfeeding. I unfortunately I failed breastfeeding my son because I was just schlecht beraten, also wirklich Katastrophe. And yeah, in general, because I had both of my kids, I had them naturally. In general, I can say it was amazing because they were quick. It was like my daughter came within an hour, my son within like 4 or 5 hours, which is like, because normally births can take up to 3 days. Like you can be in labor like for 3 days, and that's a lot. So in general, I can say I had a really beautiful birthing experience. But with my first son, the midwife, because there were 2 midwives. One midwife, she was still like in school, she was still a student, and the main midwife. And the main midwife, like her comments were just like
unacceptable. What did she say?
Please, say it. We need to know.
Honestly, I don't really go into detail. I don't really talk about that because it's really a sensitive place, because you don't expect someone to disrespect you like that when you're having your first child in the delivery room. I didn't expect that. I didn't know that even like something like this could exist.
Did that happen in a hospital?
In a hospital, yeah.
Okay.
In a hospital. And the second midwife, she was really lovely. She tried and she motivated me and said, yeah, you're doing well.
You mean the student?
Yeah, the student. She was really amazing. But this woman, I mean, there was like one experience, like she made me in between my contractions. In between my contractions, she made me leave one room and walk over to the other room. And I don't know why this was necessary, because when I came, they put me like in a room on the side to monitor the baby, and she was like, yeah, I don't think it's your first child, it's gonna take long, but he was fast. So after a while, she put me into a delivery room, but it was a delivery room with where you can have a water birth. And I'm not too sure about the restriction of water birth in Austria, but I think it's more like when you have private insurance and stuff like that. So maybe somebody came in who wanted to have a water birth, I don't know, but I was in the middle of having a baby. And you're making me, and she was like, yeah, bei der nächsten Wehe, du schaffst es schon, wir stützen dich und dann läufst du rüber. And I was like,
wait, I thought you went because she offended you, she told you to go.
Yeah. That was one of the things she did many things, but that was like one of the things she did. And sie hat mir einfach die Fruchtblase aufgeplatzt without telling me. Sie hat mir einen Wehentropf angehängt, ohne mir wirklich zu erklären, was ein Wehentropf ist. Ich habe bis zur Entlassung geglaubt, ich habe mein Kind zu 100% natürlich auf die Welt gebracht, bis ich den Bericht gelesen habe. I was like, hä? Weil, when you have the baby, you don't really, Und ich habe so, ja stimmt, sie hat mir was angehängt. Aber she explained it as if it was just something water or liquid. Like, ich dachte, es ist eine Infusion oder sowas, ja.
So what was that, if I may ask?
So it helps that your contractions come faster or something like that. Okay. So maybe that's why then I really gave birth really quickly at the end. I don't know. But yeah, and there were like the comments. And then it continued in the hospital with breastfeeding. I didn't know that you can have issues with breastfeeding. I wasn't aware of that as well. I was like, okay, you have the baby, you put him on the boobs and he's gonna drink the milk, you know? But I had issues with milk coming in, and suddenly I had a fever. I thought there's something wrong with you. Later on, from another midwife, I learned that's normal, like when the milk comes in, also wenn du den Milcheinschuss hast, kann die Temperatur hochgehen. And at the hospital, they tried actually to keep me because I had a high temperature, but they didn't tell me it could be connected to the Milcheinschuss, yeah. Und I tried breastfeeding, and then they were like, yeah, but he's losing too much weight, and the issue is when your child loses too much weight, you cannot leave the hospital, and I hate hospitals. So I started giving him the bottle so that he can just leave, you know, because he had to put on weight, which was not really good for breastfeeding, because then the milk came, but nobody was sucking, so by the time I got home, and yeah, es war einfach nur, I tried, but at the end my baby boy was bottle fed, so
he didn't even receive the opportunity to get all the colostrum and you know, all the nutrients from the get-go.
Because ich wurde einfach schlecht beraten, and yeah, maybe it's also my fault because I didn't educate myself properly.
Well, did you talk to your mother actually? Did she give you any tips prior?
Well, my mom never had issues breastfeeding, so she couldn't really help me. She didn't really know what's going on, because for her it was like, okay, just put him on your boob, you know, just put him on your boob. But she couldn't really, because she never had issues breastfeeding. So
obviously there's some things you won't share because it's private and it's very intimate, but in the community that you guys have right now, if I got it right, you guys are on Clubhouse,
and WhatsApp also,
and on WhatsApp. So do you guys share everything? Like what platform can women join and like get,
I mean,
not like
I'm not
your information, but like really know everything they need to know and be prepared?
The WhatsApp group is led by somebody else, but if someone wants to join, if any black mom is watching, just slide into my DMs and I will send you the link.
What's the name of the
my
account?
Afro-Vietnamese. Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll post it as well.
Well, obviously, I don't know.
And we talk about certain things, but very often also people say like, okay, da ist die Grenze, ich möchte nicht zu sehr ins Detail gehen. Even in the WhatsApp group, because I remember once somebody wanted even to do a YouTube video about your experience at the hospitals and everything, and like I think most of them were like, yeah, we all had our experiences and we went through stuff, but nobody was really open to put it out there on YouTube.
I can't really understand because I'm yet to be a mother. However, I must honestly say that I really hope that more women will come forward with their stories and just give us more information. Because what I have realized with most people that I know that are young mothers is that they've just told me that no, it's got nothing to do with being clueless. It's just that when I ask them about their birthing experience, because I just need to know, it's just always this, oh yeah, you know, it happened and everything is fine. And when I ask them to maybe just give me a little bit more information, because I feel like I need to prepare myself. I don't really want to like.
As we can.
No, just generally, I think that as a woman, I would just like to know what's gonna happen with my body, and I also know that many doctors, or let me say, not just doctors, but also gynecologists, when you go to them, sometimes they just don't really engage with you as much as you want to. When you have certain concerns, they just gaslight you. And that has happened to me time and time again, which has forced me to constantly change my OBGYN, which is really frustrating. And I really hope, as I said, that more women will come forward. You don't have to tell us everything.
I mean, we do talk. I mean, I also shared some things that maybe others wouldn't share. I mean, because it's very intimate. And
what you said
exactly,
was very intimate.
So thank you so much for being open.
Still, I think you also have to understand and respect is like, when you get pregnant and have a baby, you don't really prepare yourself for things like that, you know?
Wow.
And you don't see those things coming.
But you can't anyway.
Yeah, and then it happens and you're so shocked and like, okay, like, why is all of this even happening? Why is this necessary? Like, having a child should be like a beautiful and happy experience. I mean, it's not always so. I mean, there is things like Notkaiserschnitt und das ist dann wirklich, wo du dann, also dann bist du komplett weg und dann wachst du ein paar Stunden später auf und hast plötzlich ein Baby. And I know of people who went to that experience, and that must be terrible.
Just hearing that right now, that's terrible.
Exactly. And
so that's why I also wanted to ask you, because this is very educational for all of us. That's why we invited you. So what would you say, like, how can men help? Like, what like 3 tips could you give, like, us men, for instance, so that we can prepare for those type of situations?
What a good plan is like having a birthing plan, which means writing your wife or your spouse should write down what she wants and what she doesn't want, and you need to know. So in case she's not there, you can tell the doctors or the midwives, like, no, my wife, she didn't want that, you know? I think that's one thing. Second thing, just be there, be supportive. Sometimes, you know, the hormones and everything can act out, and you might also not have all that patience, but just, you know, pull through, because it's hard. It's hard. Pushing out the baby is hard. So and the third thing, what would I say? I think when you have those 2 things, you're good to go. And maybe also educate yourself.
Okay.
Educate yourself.
I actually recently saw a post on Instagram about childbirth, and they were like, men these days, when it comes to labor, they just stay outside doing anything else. I went into the comments.
And also don't feel bad if it's not for you being there when she has the baby. I mean, it's not for everybody, yeah? And just have the conversation with your partner and say, okay, listen. Because it's better if she really has somebody supportive there than you're just there because you're the husband and you're not able to deal with the situation. So maybe it's better she has a friend or her sister or mother, whoever. Or I don't know, in Austria you can have up to 2 people in the room, I think.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean with Corona
things change, but I think they're going back to normal.
Yeah, like one of my cousins, she had her baby all alone.
Because I know people that had their kids alone.
Jesus Christ.
But Prince, you still wanted to say.
Saying actually, because I saw in the comment section, I actually experienced it myself, that more guys understand things now that they have to be there in the room, even if they don't do anything. I went to the comment section, 90% of the guys said, I was just inside the labor room, stay with my wife, so that you know I'm there. So I think like now we're already improving actually. We just need to know but you need to instruct us, as you said before, what to do before then. You also said actually have a plan so that we know what we need to do.
So for the community, actually, just to take a little time back, do you guys meet in person?
There were meetings before Corona, and actually we should have a meeting in a couple of weeks again, I think, But that's not for Schwarze Mamas Reden, that's for the WhatsApp group. Because Schwarze Mamas Reden is more online platform, because my vision is to connect moms from Germany, Switzerland and Austria, and maybe have like one person responsible in each big city, and see how things go from there. But Schwarze Mamas Reden is more online and online workshops, and in the fall we definitely have workshops with psychologists and people like that, like how to empower our kids, how to empower ourselves as parents to be a good parent. Yeah.
But on that note, I think it's very important because like when it comes to like the black community, we also venture into different type of jobs, you know. Like you rightly said, like black therapists. I think that's something that is.
And midwives.
But not only because nowadays, because there are only a few male. It's not a midwife, then it's a midman. Or I don't know what they're called, but that's also a job opportunity. You know? So it's not that everybody, we all have to do the same things like that.
And that's also what I want to say. I know all our parents taught us we have to be either engineers, doctors, or lawyers. But please, our kids need us. We need you in the schools as teachers. We need you in the hospitals as midwives. We need you as Spielberater, lactation consultant. We need you as nursery teachers. We need you as social workers. We need you as psychologists. Because now, where I have kids, I understand like how important all these people are.
Representation matters.
Yeah, and because now when I want to reach out to somebody, or even like, was ist Logopäde auf Englisch? Weiß ich jetzt nicht. Speech therapist. Yeah. Like even that, things like that, they are important for our community because we have those issues, you know, and they are important. So
and our language is difficult.
I just want to encourage you to everyone who's maybe thinking what he wants to do in life, look into those things as well. Yeah.
It's not every time financial advice.
No, please.
No, seriously. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's venture into different type of aspects. You can make money elsewhere if you create institutions that is helping the community. Yeah. So don't always listen to your parents. That's a great advice. Don't listen to your parents.
I did not say that.
You said it. You said it.
What do you actually do, just to recalibrate and to, relax and get your mindset right? Because
I get rid of the kids.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
Expand on that.
So yeah, exactly. So just to have a date night with hubby.
I get rid of the kids. And do me, do whatever I want to do whatever I want to enjoy. And it's important, dear moms, please also ask for help and get help. I mean, if you need that cleaner, get the cleaner. Pay that 12 euros per. It's not that deep, It's not that deep. It's a lot of quality time also that you can have with your children or for yourself. So, that's what I do. I get rid. I mean, if the pandemic is over, probably also travel more again because I used to travel a lot, and enjoy myself with my girlfriends and
So on that note, Patricia, Vanessa, I want to thank you ladies for coming on to the OnPoint, to the man's cave.
Thank you for the invitation.
Obviously, Patricia, thank you also for like teaching us like what we can do. It's very educational. So thank you very much.
But I just want to say, that's like my experience and my point of view, Others might have a different experience or a different take on it because, families are also different. So, yeah.
But there's no one right answer. We need multiple views.
Exactly.
So it's very important that we have people on the side that would give us your type of experience. And then people on a different
side.
I'm
just a mom who's trying to do better.
No, you're not just a mom. You are a mom. Okay?
I just want to say that I'm not perfect, and I'm a very young mom. So because my oldest is just 3, so I don't have that experience like with raising teenagers and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to do better, and I want to motivate others to do better. Yeah, to be more conscious about parenting and not just go with the flow.
No, but it's important that you're still a young one because you still have the knowledge because everything happened not too long ago. Otherwise, when you already have like kids that are already in the 20s or 30s, like I already forgot what happened like ages ago. So that's why it's very important to have somebody that's still
young and dynamic.
Exactly. So once again, thank you. OnPoint.
Thank you.
OnPoint. OnPoint.